So I don't know if you guys noticed the other tree that was kind of half fallen in the background. That's actually the first tree we cut in episode 8. It didn't fall all the way down, unfortunately. So we decided to fell this tree in that direction in the hopes that it would knock the other one down as well, and it did just that. So our plan worked to perfection. Hey, perfect. I like the sound of that one. If we've done our calculations correct, I think we should have just cut our last tree. So what's left to do is pull down all the trees that are kind of still hung up in the treetops. So we'll have to come back probably next weekend with a crowbar and some tools to pull them all down. And then it's just a matter of delimbing and debarking, and then we can pretty much get started on the foundation. So we're super excited to start doing that. Yep. Damn it.
Yeah. Ooh.
So all the trees that we cut in the early spring, we've been able to pull off the bark in huge pieces like that, and it takes a little bit more time than peeling it traditionally with the draw knife. But we find the aesthetic of the log is a lot nicer. Today is an exciting day. We finally broke ground on our cabin project. We've been debating about a couple locations in this general area. The first one is just a little bit this way. It's really close to the beaver pond. It's on a little bit of a high ground. We weren't sure if we were going to hit bedrock or the water table, or we weren't sure what we were going to find. So the only way to figure it out was to just start digging. On that first hole, we actually encountered the water table about, I think, 2 feet below the surface. And there's nothing wrong with building a foundation, a concrete foundation under the water table. Concrete is very durable under the water. That's why we use it in foundations. But the problem is that we need that water out if we want to cast the concrete footings, because you can't really cast concrete in water. It's going to kind of ruin the properties and make it really, really weak. So we don't really have the resources or the tools to pump the water out while we cast footings in there. And we also weren't too keen on being so close to the beaver pond. So we found a second possible cabin location. It's about 50 meters away from the beaver pond. It's a little bit higher ground. And again, we weren't sure what we were going to find, so the only way was just to start digging. And in this location, we're actually very lucky. We managed to hit bedrock about 2 feet below the soil surface. So the bedrock is nice and flat, it's very even, and it's pretty solid, so we're going to be able to build our concrete footings directly on the bedrock. So this way we won't need to dig a hole 6 feet below the surface. We're going to finish up digging the rest of the holes today. So stay tuned, keep watching. These episodes are about to get a lot more exciting once we actually start building the foundations and start putting up the logs, which we're really excited to start doing. Pancake.
That's cute.
So this is the third hole that we dug. We seem to have hit some rock. It feels really, really solid, but we're not 100% sure if it's bedrock or just like a really big boulder right now. So what we did is we dug our fourth hole 13 feet that way, and we're hitting pretty much the same type of rock. It kind of looks the same, feels the same, it's about the same elevation. But since we're not 100% sure if it's kind of just two different boulders or two different pieces of rock, what we're actually going to do is we're going to dig a trench from one hole to the other. And if it ends up being one solid continuous piece of rock between the two holes, then we're pretty certain it's going to be bedrock at that point.
One rock to ruin them all, baby.
Today we started on our foundation, and the first step we had to do is to drill some holes in the bedrock. And we know from the start of this project we wanted to do everything by hand, but the unfortunate part about our cabin location and pretty much our whole land in general is that the bedrock is really, really shallow. And if we didn't have any bedrock, then we could just dig 6 feet down into the soil and then pour a simple concrete foundation. But unfortunately that's not really possible on our land. Pretty much everywhere we dig, we're hitting bedrock within 2 to 3 feet. So we don't really have a choice but to cast concrete footings directly on the bedrock. And in order to have them properly secured, to have a solid foundation, we have to drill into that rock. We foresee that this is going to be the only power tool we're going to use to build our cabin, and it's only just because of the circumstances of the bedrock being so shallow that we have to use a power tool. Now the other option would have been to use this hand-powered screwdriver, but drilling this through some rock would probably take several days and would probably destroy our muscles, and we would just kind of wreck ourselves doing it. So we kind of opted out against using this to drill into the bedrock.